India's fight for freedom was a long and arduous journey spanning over centuries and involving countless sacrifices. The British East India Company, initially traders, gradually gained political control, exploiting India's wealth and resources. This led to the systematic exploitation of India's resources and people, draining the country of its riches and leaving its people impoverished. Indians faced severe discrimination and oppression under British rule, with their rights and freedoms severely curtailed. Early uprisings like the Sepoy Mutiny of 1857 showcased the growing discontent among Indians, who were no longer willing to accept British domination. These rebellions, though ultimately suppressed, planted the seeds of resistance that would blossom in the 20th century, inspiring future generations to continue the struggle. The desire for self-rule began to burn brightly in the hearts of Indians, igniting a passion for freedom that could not be extinguished. The fight for independence was not merely a political struggle, it was a fight for dignity, for self-respect, and for the soul of a nation yearning to be free. It was a movement that transcended social, economic, and religious boundaries, uniting people from all walks of life in a common cause. The British Raj, with its policies of divide and rule, had sought to weaken the social fabric of India, pitting communities against each other to maintain control. However, the struggle for independence brought Indians together, uniting them in their common goal of a free and independent India, where all could live with dignity and respect. The seeds of freedom sown in the hearts of Indians were beginning to sprout, as the early 20th century saw the rise of nationalism in India. The early 20th century saw the rise of nationalism in India, with leaders and thinkers advocating for self-rule and independence. Influenced by Western education and ideals, Indian leaders began to demand greater autonomy, seeking to reclaim their nation's destiny from foreign hands. Organizations like the Indian National Congress emerged, advocating for self-rule and working tirelessly to mobilize the masses. Leaders like Dadabhai Naoroji and Gopal Krishna Gokhale used moderate means, petitioning the British government for reforms and greater representation for Indians. However, the British response was slow and inadequate, further fueling the desire for complete independence and strengthening the resolve of the Indian people. The stage was set for a mass movement, one that would shake the foundations of the British Empire and pave the way for India's freedom. The call for Swaraj, or self-rule, resonated throughout the country, echoing in the hearts and minds of millions of Indians. The time was ripe for a leader to emerge, someone who could unite the masses and lead them to freedom, embodying their hopes and aspirations. This leader was Mahatma Gandhi, whose philosophy of non-violence and civil disobedience would become the cornerstone of India's struggle for independence, inspiring millions to join the cause and fight for their nation's freedom. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, affectionately known as Mahatma meaning great soul, returned to India from South Africa in 1915. His return was not just a homecoming, but the beginning of a new chapter in India's struggle for independence. He had successfully fought against racial discrimination there, using his philosophy of satyagraha, truth force, or non-violent resistance. This philosophy was not just a strategy, but a way of life for Gandhi, deeply rooted in his belief in the power of truth and moral courage. Gandhi's arrival in India marked a turning point in the freedom struggle. The Indian masses, weary of British oppression, found a new hope in Gandhi's leadership. His presence ignited a spark of resistance that would soon spread like wildfire across the nation. His message of non-violence resonated with millions. Gandhi's words were not just speeches, they were a call to action, urging every Indian to rise against injustice without resorting to violence. His approach was revolutionary, emphasizing that true strength lies in restraint and moral integrity. He urged Indians to oppose unjust laws through peaceful means like boycotts and civil disobedience. Gandhi's leadership was unique. He believed that the means were as important as the end, and that achieving freedom through violence would only perpetuate a cycle of hatred and retribution. He lived a simple life, dressed in the clothes of a poor peasant, and spoke the language of the masses. This simplicity was not just symbolic, it was a deliberate choice to align himself with the common people and their struggles. Gandhi's lifestyle was a testament to his commitment to equality and justice. He believed in the power of love and compassion even towards one's oppressors. Gandhi taught that hatred could only be overcome by love and that true victory lay in winning over the hearts of the oppressors, not in defeating them through violence. He emphasized self-reliance and urged Indians to boycott British goods, promoting the use of khadi, hand-spun cloth. This was not just an economic strategy, but a means to instill a sense of pride and self-sufficiency among Indians, breaking the chains of dependency on British products. His leadership transcended religious and social barriers, uniting Indians from all walks of life under the banner of freedom. Gandhi's inclusive approach brought together Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, and Christians, fostering a sense of unity and collective purpose. Gandhi's charisma and message of non-violent resistance captivated the Indian masses. His ability to connect with people on a personal level made him a beloved leader, and his vision of a free and just India inspired millions to join the struggle. He became the guiding force of the Indian National Congress, transforming it into a powerful instrument of struggle. Under his leadership, the Congress adopted non-violence as its core principle, and its activities became more inclusive and representative of the Indian populace. He understood the pulse of the people and connected with them on a deeper level. Gandhi's empathy and genuine concern for the common man's plight made him a trusted and revered figure. He listened to their grievances and worked tirelessly to address them. His simple yet profound message of truth, non-violence, and self-reliance struck a chord with the masses, who were yearning for freedom from British rule. Gandhi's teachings empowered ordinary people to believe in their own strength and to take a stand against oppression. Gandhi's emergence on the Indian political scene marked a paradigm shift in the freedom struggle. His approach was not just about political independence, but about social and moral regeneration. He envisioned an India free from not only British rule, but also from social evils like untouchability and inequality. His philosophy of satyagraha provided a powerful weapon to fight against the mighty British Empire. It was a method that required immense courage and discipline, as it involved facing violence and oppression without retaliating. It was a weapon that drew its strength not from physical force, but from the moral strength of the masses. Gandhi believed that the moral high ground was the most potent form of resistance, and that truth and justice would ultimately prevail. Gandhi's message of non-violent resistance would soon reverberate not just in India but across the world, inspiring generations to come. His legacy of peaceful protest influenced global leaders and movements, proving that non-violence is a powerful and enduring force for change. In 1920, Gandhi launched the Non-Cooperation Movement, a pivotal campaign that would forever alter the course of India's struggle for independence. This was a watershed moment in India's struggle for independence, marking the first time that millions of Indians united in a mass protest against British rule. The movement called for a boycott of British institutions, goods and services. This was a strategic move to cripple the economic backbone of the British administration in India. Indians were urged to resign from government jobs, withdraw their children from British-run schools, and refuse to pay taxes. The response was overwhelming as people from all walks of life heeded Gandhi's call. Millions across the country joined the movement, creating a wave of nationalistic fervor that swept through cities and villages alike. The non-cooperation movement shook the foundations of British rule in India, causing alarm and concern among British officials who had underestimated the resolve of the Indian people. It demonstrated the power of unity and non-violent resistance, showing that a collective, peaceful stand could challenge even the mightiest of empires. The British administration, caught off guard by the scale of the movement, responded with brutal repression. They hoped to crush the spirit of the movement through fear and intimidation. Peaceful protesters were lathi-charged, arrested and imprisoned. The British used every tool at their disposal to try and break the will of the Indian people. Gandhi himself was arrested in 1922, a move that the British hoped would demoralize the movement. However, it only served to strengthen the resolve of the Indian people. Despite the crackdown, the non-cooperation movement had a profound impact on the Indian psyche. It awakened a sense of collective identity and purpose that had been dormant for centuries. It instilled a sense of self-belief and national pride, showing that the Indian people were capable of standing up to their colonial oppressors. It showed the world that the Indian people were determined to win their freedom, no matter the cost. The movement was a clear message that India would no longer accept subjugation. The movement, though eventually suspended by Gandhi after an incident of violence, had ignited the flames of freedom that would never be extinguished. Gandhi's decision to call off the movement was a testament to his commitment to non-violence. The non-cooperation movement marked a turning point in India's struggle for independence. It was a clear indication that the Indian people were ready to take control of their own destiny. It was during this movement that the Indian flag, designed by Pingali Venkaiah, was first hoisted. This flag became a symbol of hope and resistance for millions of Indians. The movement also saw the emergence of new leaders who would go on to play crucial roles in the fight for freedom. These leaders were inspired by Gandhi's vision and were committed to carrying forward the struggle. The non-cooperation movement was a testament to the power of the people, united in their quest for self-determination. It laid the foundation for future movements and ultimately India's independence.